NTA International News.
Top stories. Speaker of the House of Representatives commends world leaders' support for Nigeria to tackle food crisis in the Northeast. Federal government recapitalizes Federal Mortgage Bank to perform primary responsibilities. And clergy advises Nigerians to see diversity of the country as an asset to ensure unity and peace. Welcome to NTA International News this hour. My name is Ogechi Paul. Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara has described as a welcome development the convergence of world leaders in Oslo, Norway, to tackle food crisis in the Northeast for the next 3 years. In a statement in Abuja, Dogara said the initiative is a demonstration to tackle food crisis in the Northeast. He also advocated the convocation of a bigger donor summit that will see to the rebuilding and rehabilitation of the region. Dogara promised that as a legislature and government, Nigeria owes a duty to the international community to set up solid and permanent legal framework to manage the resources contributed for the development of the Northeast. The Food Crisis Summit was convened to fashion ways to stamp up funds to prevent the food crisis in Northeast Nigeria, thereby preventing a reoccurrence of the famine in the Sudan. Senate President Bukola Saraki has urged the federal, states and local governments to ensure efficiency in all healthcare facilities across the country for the benefit of the masses. Saraki made the plea during the commissioning and handing over of an 80-bed hospital built by Senator Hassan Mohammed and donated to the federal government in Potiskum, Yobe State. The Senate President noted that with the hospital, the residents of Potiskum will no longer need to travel to neighboring states for treatment. He noted that his interest in bringing back life to normals in the area made him to quickly intervene to ensure that the federal government assumed responsibility for the running of the newly commissioned hospital. Vulnerable members of society are entitled to special protection and care through the adoption of low-cost targeted measures, especially in times of resource constraints as currently experienced in economic recession. This is the stand of the Center for Social Justice while advocating improved funding for maternal, newborn and child health. After a review of the 2017 budget proposal for the health sector, Ogwaviviano Yadibia reports.
The right to health, including maternal, newborn and child health, is understood as a right to the enjoyment of facilities, goods, services and conditions necessary to attain optimum physical and mental health, and budgeting is part of policy tools used in fulfilling this obligation. Center for Social Justice says review of the budget for health reveals, amongst others, inadequate allocation and decreasing percentages in funding without compensatory mechanisms and insufficient provision for revitalization of primary health care centers.
The real value of the capital vote dedicated to maternal newborn childhood has also depreciated over the 3 years, leading to a situation where the 2017 vote is less than 50% of the 2015 provision.
With the phased exit of international donors, the organization recommends that government deepens oversight measures on management and implementation of health budget, increase funding, and make rehabilitation of primary health centers sustainable, with a challenge to civil society organizations to continue evidence-based advocacy. Ogwa Vivian Onyedibia, NTA News.
From health matters, the federal government has recapitalized the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to 100 billion naira. Minister of State for Power, Works and Housing, Mustafa Babashewuri, disclosed this while commissioning a 250-unit housing estate in Ilorin, Kwara State capital. Dunia Dealao has details.
The estate comprises of 3-bedroom detached, 3-bedroom semi-detached, and 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalows, with facilities such as pipe-borne water, power supply, and road network already in place. Commissioning the project, the Minister of State, Power, Works and Housing, Mustafa Babashewuri, said the present administration places priority on the provision of affordable housing for Nigerians.
The completion of this estate and its peers across the country is a demonstration of the tangible achievement of this administration in the area of provision of affordable housing for all Nigerians.
The Kwara State Governor, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, who was represented, applauded the federal government's efforts at providing shelter for its citizens. Dignitaries at the occasion include the Emir of Ilorin, Alhaji Sulu Gambari, in Ilorin, Duni Adealao, NTA News.
The federal government remains committed to the welfare of persons living with albinism in the country, especially in sustaining the free treatment of skin cancer. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, said this while playing host to members of the Albino Foundation in her office. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday has the report.
Available records from the Albino Foundation shows that there are about 2 million Nigerians living with albinism. Founder of the foundation, Jake Epele, appealed to the head of the Civil Service of the Federation to support the creation of official framework that will cater for the social welfare services of persons living with albinism. Mrs. Oyoita advocates love and respect for persons living with albinism in the society.
Because if they improve the economic base by employment, through skills acquisition, it will help the economic base and improve their standing in society.
It is on record that Nigeria is one of the countries with the highest albino population in the world. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Well, Nigerian diversity has been described as an asset that every Nigerian must utilize to ensure the unity and peace of the country. Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Most Reverend Matthew Hassan Kuka, stated this at the pre-convocation lecture of University of Abuja. Abdullahi Musa Suleja has details.
University of Abuja was established over 2 decades ago. Bishop Kuka, who spoke on Tribe and Tongue Differ, Managing Diversity, said, diversity will remain a burden if there is absence of patriotism by all, where people will decide to do things their own way. He therefore urged Nigerians not to hesitate to offer each other a shoulder to lean on.
The certificate from the University of Abuja is a stepping stone to greatness. My dear young people, remember, it depends on whose hands it is.
Vice Chancellor, University of Abuja, Professor Michael Adiku, said the need to strengthen the unity among diverse groups in the country informed the choices of the topic.
It's not just in human existence. Even in knowledge, there is diversity. How to manage this is a problem for every area of study. And so we needed more light to be thrown as far as Nigerian existence is concerned.
This is the 21st pre-convocation lecture of the university. In Abuja, Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
While we're still staying with the education sector, computer-based test, many agree is the best way of testing students' ability, as it will remove any form of error on examination malpractice. In this report, Adebola Brooklyn Sunday takes a look at adopting it at all levels of education.
The education system in Nigeria is categorized into primary, secondary, and tertiary. After the adoption of the computer-based tests in the country, the system is mainly applicable to secondary and post-secondary school students who are seeking admission into tertiary institutions. Minister of Science and Technology, Ogbonaya Onu, commended the adoption of the system in Nigeria.
All we want is to promote efficiency. And we want to make sure that the marks you get are the marks you desire and the marks you merit. Because once you do that, then you will encourage people.
Statistics shows that in most developing countries, students writing exams through this means for the first time are faced with what many called computer fear, in addition to the fear of the tests. Some experts want the computer-based test introduced in form of mock examination for optimal preparation.
We realize that constant practice makes perfect. And because of the constant practice that will make you perfect, we brought about the SIPAM mock exam.
And this is the best way we can help the government to make sure that the ICT sector of education is well handled.
Other information technology experts want the system to be applicable to pupils.
We're introducing this into Nigeria. Let students who are going in for any exam have some bit of exposure to what has been the case in the past, so they better position themselves on what to expect.
Instant feedback, elimination of human errors in grading are some of the advantages of the computer-based tests. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Work is in progress on the Kaduna International Airport in readiness for the facelift of Abuja International Airport. Ugama Okwase has a report.
Kaduna International Airport has been rebranded with modern equipment in line with international best standards to accommodate traffic diversion when Abuja Airport undergo repairs. All the concerns raised by foreign airlines to do with instrumental landing system, glide slope, airfield lighting panel, among others, are now in place.
This is a brand new one called the glide slope or glide path. This directs the aeroplane up and down, so they don't strike a hill. At a distance from which you can catch this before you start descending to land. Everything is in place, no panic. In fact, it's far, far ahead of schedule. It was here before, but this is a brand new one. We dislodged the old one.
At the main terminal, there was remarkable improvement as the check-in and ticketing counters, communication room, cameras, conveyor belts have all been fixed, tested and declared to be in good working condition.
Most of our facilities are now in place. The approach lights are okay now. The terminal building is at 95% ready. So we're just waiting for the deadline.
On its part, the Kaduna State government is not resting on its powers to make sure that the March 8th deadline is a reality by taking over the construction of the protocol lounge, a new park, and other facilities at the airport.
Taken over by the governor, National Rufai, to modify it. During the third development plan by Shehu Musa Eradua 1976, which earmarked 12 international airports to be constructed for Nigeria. This metal structure was erected at that time. Nobody does anything, nothing has done.
Initially, this entrance into the Kaduna International Airport was a single carriageway, but it has been expanded to dual carriageway for easy flow of traffic by Kaduna State Government. In Kaduna, Eugenia Ukweze, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International, coming to you live from Abuja. More news after the break. Do stay with us.
Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogeruola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
We're glad to know you're still watching. Next is our weekend review segment of the news with Uche Wizu.
A warm welcome to highlights of notable events in the outgoing week. The week is packed with interesting activities, but let's begin with agricultural matters. The federal government met with the Presidential Task Force on Rice and Wheat Production, where the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo, pledged government support to the value chain to drive self-sufficiency in food security. Meanwhile, a technical committee was set to help position Nigeria among exporters of agricultural produce, and NAFDAC cleared the air on the allegation of imported gari from India selling in Nigerian supermarkets. In another report, Commander of the U.S. Africa Command was a guest at the presidential villa during the week. Both countries realized the urgency to deepen their long-standing relationship, especially in addressing human rights and security challenges. Similarly, Nigeria expects a more robust bilateral and diplomatic relations with Spain and Korea. This hope was raised after consultations with both countries' diplomatic delegations at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Still on improving relations, this week's meeting of the Federal Executive Council approved the construction of Cameroon-Nigeria border link bridge under the African Development Bank support.
Part of the link road to between Enugu-Abakaliki Highway, which is already completed, and part of the larger Lagos-Mombasa Highway. We also presented a memorandum for the resuscitation and completion of the Kaduna Eastern Bypass Highway.
The council also bid farewell to the outgoing Minister of Environment, Amina Mohammed, as she takes up her new appointment at the United Nations.
I really would want to just pray for you that this will only be the beginning of much, much greater attainment in life.
The National Assembly reconvened after a 3-week recess. At plenary, the members received a letter from the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo, withholding assent to 4 bills already passed by both chambers with reasons.
We now have to scrutinize the reason given by the acting president for not assenting to the bills.
The presidency also requested approval for $500 million Eurobond to finance the deficits of the 2016 budget. However, Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun is optimistic that Nigeria may not need IMF loan as revenue from non-oil sectors improves. Meanwhile, the Nigerian currency, the Naira, appreciates after the injection of Forex by the Apex Bank. The battle against climate change got a boost in the course of the week as the federal government introduced green bond into the Nigerian capital markets. This will serve as alternative fund for climate-friendly projects in the country. And a memorandum of understanding that will produce a book showcasing Nigeria's history from 1946 to 2014 was signed by the Federal Ministry of Information.
I think there can be no better gift from Nigeria to the outside world or to ourselves than this grand book.
On the political scene, power changed hands in Ondo State as the winner of the November 2016 gubernatorial election, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, was sworn in, just as INEC fixed November 18 as date for Anambra State governorship election. The outgoing week also witnessed the return of a large number of Nigerians from Libya, and protests and counter-reactions trolled the xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in South Africa. From the world of sports, Maiden West Africa Golf Tour tees off in Abuja on Thursday, and the Nigerian Football Federation promised to take the Super Eagles to 2018 FIFA World Cup. On this sporting note, we wrap this segment of the news. I am Uche Nwizu. The rest of the news continues shortly.
Tourism investors from Miami, United States of America, have indicated interest to partner the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, NTDC, in developing and projecting the country's tourism sector. At a meeting in Abuja, the investors pledged to invest hundreds of millions of dollars at the cultural and ecotourism sectors. Wawina Yakaloka has a report.
25-member delegation from Miami, which is the major tourism hub in the United States, had earlier visited the streets of bronze casting in Benin City and indicated interest to project the rich culture of the Benin Kingdom.
This is an opportunity for them to invest in those kind of infrastructure, whereby we begin to build a new generation of geniuses.
Chairman, Project Tourism Committee, Nad Nwoko, and the Director General NTDC, Maria Ray Omo, said the meeting is aimed at engineering the growth of tourism in Nigeria.
We must form a synergy that will be propagated over the years to come.
Tourism is a money spinner. It's something that we have kept away for so long. But right now, we are ready to take off and kick off.
The Project Tourism Committee is working towards bringing about 100 tourists yearly from different countries into Nigeria, starting from this year, 2017. Oyinaya Kalo Oka, NTA News.
And now for stories trending around the globe, Elias Yakub is our guide.
The African Diaspora Forum has stressed the need for the South African government to stop making statements criminalizing people from other African countries amidst fears that Friday's xenophobic attacks could spread to other parts of the country. Spokesperson of the forum, Johnson Adeke, said they have been criminalized by government institutions that are supposed to protect them. Adeke said the forum had written to Johannesburg's mayor, President Zuma, and other government institutions warning that trouble was brewing after Mashaba's statement that he could remove what he called illegal foreigners from Johannesburg, but to no avail. A report from Mexico says Mexico has warned the U.S. against imposing a unilateral tax on Mexican imports to finance a border wall, saying it could respond in kind. Mexican Foreign Minister said the government could place tariffs on selected goods from United States to Mexico. Addressing the Conservative Political Action Congress in Maryland, President Trump vowed to always put Americans first and build a great border wall. Mr. Trump has pledged that Mexico will pay for the wall, which could cost up to $21.5 billion. The foreign minister said that Mexico believes in free trade and they will have to react if U.S. tries to impose tax on Mexican import just to fund a border wall. Ilyasu Aliakubu, NTA News.
Talking sports now, the Nigerian Professional League defending champions Enugu Rangers lost 2-1 to MFM FC in the first night game of the season at the Agege Stadium, Lagos. Having dominated play from the blast of the whistle, the Olukoya boys gave their fans something to cheer about. In the 32nd minute, as Shikiru Lotubosing scored with a stupendous volley from a well-knitted build-up, which started from day 10. Today had Shooting Stars host Remo Stars in the southwest, as Aqua United and Abia Warriors battled at the Godswill of Abia Stadium, Uyo. 7 games will be played on Monday, with the encounter between Lobby Stars and Eyimba, the standard fixture for the day. We now have a quick check on Sunday's weather outlook in Nigeria and some world cities. And now to end the news with a recap of major stories in the bulletin. In the course of the bulletin, we told you that Speaker House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara has commended world leaders' support for Nigeria to tackle food crisis in the northeast.
NTA International News.
You heard that the federal government has recapitalized Federal Mortgage Bank to perform its primary responsibilities. And finally, we intimated you that a clergy has advised Nigerians to see the diversity of the country as an asset to ensure unity and peace. But that's the news on NTA International. Thanks for watching.
NTA International News.